Should you choose Claude or OpenClaw to run your business or even to create one? I'm going to share with you a unbiased perspective in terms of which option makes the most sense for you. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly whether or not it makes sense to move forward with Claude or move forward with OpenClaw when it comes to building out agentic workflows, whether it's for your personal life or your business, but mainly around the business side of things. So first off, let's begin with the misconception. The misconception is that people think these are two separate things, but at the core, they're leaning towards a future of agentic AI, where you hand these AIs various different prompts, tasks, you connect various different tools, you build skills. Essentially, you build your whole entire workflows for your personal life and business on top of these tools, so things can be done faster, cheaper, better. You get the point. And the thing is, people think these are two separate tools, but they're not really. They both pretty much offer the same benefits and value. But the difference for which one you should choose that makes the most sense for you now versus something long-term, or whether or not you create workflows that are compatible with each of them, is totally up to you. Let's first begin with Claude. Claude is arguably one of the best AIs that exist right now. To get the full value of Claude, you do have to subscribe, because if you're using just the free plan, you may not be getting enough credits to go back and forth with the AI to extract the most value from the platform. And what's more is that they have their own Claude desktop app for your computer. If you're not already using the Claude app, it is highly recommended that you download it, because you can use three primary key features right now. You can use the chat feature, you can use the co-work feature, and you can use the Claude code. For reference, what each of these features do, I'll run that down right now. The chat feature is a simple chat interface. You can pretty much do anything that you want. You can talk about anything there. It can help you think through things, through problems. You can code things there, but it's not ideally an environment for coding. But you can brainstorm, you can have conversations, you can ask for feedback, you can reflect on things. It's just another chat interface. Whereas, say, when you go into Claude Co-work, it gets a bit more interesting, because now what Claude Co-work offers you is connectors, skills, scheduling, and more recently, a new feature called Dispatch, where you can connect your personal device, like a phone, to your computer to get work done on the go. But one of the biggest advantages of using Claude Co-work is that it has access to your computer. If this app is downloaded on your computer, you can run tasks, commands, let it work in specific directories or folders on your computer, and then it can go out there and execute tasks. So whether it's a coding project, whether you're giving it its own co-work directory for specific projects it creates. So let's say you are working with a bookkeeping system. I made a video on how I replace a bookkeeper using Claude Co-work. So if you're working on a bookkeeping system, you can just drag and drop your financial sheets or statements or some other data that you want Co-work to access. It'll access those files. It'll set out a task to say, go and modify it or update the whole entire bookkeeping system that you've already created in a Google Sheet document. And then from there, let's say you have a CSV file of a bunch of transactions. It will look at the new CSV file that maybe you added into the folder, and then from there, update the whole entire bookkeeping spreadsheet. That is one example. Another example is, say if you need new thumbnails generated for you every single day when you're going out there and producing various different kinds of videos. What you can do, let's say you have this workflow where every single week you look for the top 10 ideas in tech. You have this top 10 ideas in tech that you like to make videos around, and then from there, Claude on a daily basis can have a scheduled task where it looks through your sheet for the week of what kind of videos you're going to be producing. Let's say you have a pipeline. Let's say you also have a skill created where it knows exactly how to create eye-capturing thumbnails that get you attention and views, clicks at the end of the day. And then from there, it generates new thumbnails, say using any raw images that you've added into a folder. And then it uses your face or your image or whatever assets you've provided it for brand guidelines to create very consistent thumbnails on a daily basis. So you can wake up at, say, 8 a.m. If your computer is on and is scheduled a task at around 8 a.m., it'll produce 3 thumbnails ready for you to go if you are cooking up and creating content. At the end of the day, what Co-work is intended to be is a productivity companion where it gets work done. That's what they're really trying to brand it around, so it gets work done. Without going too deep into Co-work, let's also dive into Claude Code. Claude Code is probably one of the most popular tools in the Anthropic suite under Claude. And Claude Code, what it does is you can go out there and prompt and create software, apps, applications with simple English prompts. You don't need to be too technical, but you do have to kind of understand how to navigate and work through with the files. But at the end of the day, they're trying to make it as simple as possible so you can go out there and just create coding and software projects with little to no understanding of code. And that one is particularly specialized for coding. Whereas say Claude Cowork, you can still work in it, but ideally you are working in Claude Code when it comes to say coding up any projects. So in essence, they have 3 primary key features on their desktop app, which is the chat, the Cowork, and Claude Code. And you can pick and choose between the 3 of them, which one makes the most sense for whatever you're working on right now. Now, when it comes to actually applying this stuff to your business, so that's Claude. Whereas for OpenClaw, it's an open source system that you have to manually install somewhere. So that's why people have been buying Mac Minis. People have been using their own computer resources. People have been buying resources online, such as virtual private servers, to host these things, to install it. And then from there, what you have to do once you install it and you do the whole entire technical setup, you build your own infrastructure. So there is a base stock foundation in terms of like if you have the OpenClaw dashboard, it's like a sandbox. You kind of get your own tools, some basic setups, things you can work with. But from there, you're on your own pretty much. You're on your own to set up your own skills, to create your own agents, to set up the communication channels. It's not quite beginner friendly, but long term, the biggest benefit in it is that you own and control the data. You know exactly what is inside of OpenClaw, whereas say inside Claude, you don't really have too much access or like a peek window into what's going on under the hood. Or sure, maybe you will have your memory stored somewhere, but it's kind of partial. Whereas in OpenClaw, it automatically already stores and writes new memory every single day. You can see on the inside of what, say, your OpenClaw communicates to you. Like you can configure the files of what the OpenClaw should know about you. You can create directories and projects within the OpenClaw system because at the end of the day, it's just a workspace of folders and files where you have to build systems and infrastructure on top of to make it as powerful as you can imagine it to be. And now this doesn't mean that Claude can be as powerful too. In fact, it can, and in a lot of ways, it already is. The big primary key difference between the two is that Claude is very beginner friendly. You can start with just a simple subscription. Definitely just start with a simple pro plan at $20 a month. And then from there, you can just start getting this thing to replace your bookkeeper, your spreadsheet organization, or create specific inventory management spreadsheets. Or you can start plugging it and easily connecting it to various different softwares and tools online to start managing and running your business. Whereas say for OpenClaw, there is a bit more of a hurdle in terms of setting things up because either you have to be technical, you kind of have to know what you're doing. But the big advantage is you have more flexibility and creativity in terms of what you can create because you have access to all your data. You can see everything. You can create very custom specific rules, guidelines, skills, agents for various different needs that Claude right now can't really handle. So if you're looking to get set up very fast and just start working with a powerful AI system, start with Claude because you'll get a taste of what it's like to actually start building workflows, systems that are scheduled out every single day or every single week to start doing things. Maybe say you want to get a feel of what it's like to work with like a agentic companion in the Cowork feature where you can see this thing like doing tasks, executing things. Maybe you need something specific built out for your business, like a dashboard or something like that. You can have all that stuff built out right there and deployed. Or maybe say you need this thing to access your computer. You can easily just get this thing to access your computer, go to various different websites. Just warning you, by the way, this is going to cost you a lot of tokens and you can burn through your rate limit or subscription quite fast. But this thing does have the power to control your computer and go do things without you having to do it, especially with like the dispatch feature where you can just communicate with it somewhere else and not be in the same environment of your computer to get this thing to do and produce work for you without you having to be there. Whereas say for OpenClaw, if you're hosting it in say a virtual private server, Mac Mini, or some other piece of hardware, as long as that thing is on and you have access to it through a communication channel, it could still also do the same things that Claude can do here. But the advantage is you are more flexible and you have the creative ability to do more things that Claude right now can't really. So if you need like very custom agents, if you need custom workflows, if you need custom systems, if you like ownership and control over your data, this is very powerful and a huge piece of intellectual property that is worth a lot for your business if you're planning on building anything massive or big in the future, because the more data your OpenClaw collects, even autonomously, or even if you just write into it, this is all data you can use and feed into future more powerful AIs and systems. This is why I personally kind of lean towards owning and controlling my own data, which is why I like having my data accessible and configurable and easy to modify within OpenClaw. But the thing is, I also use Claude every single day with all their features and products because I love them. It's a super strong model. The AI blows my mind with how it can pretty much zero-shot prompt a command I give it. So it's a very powerful AI and it can do a lot of things and I love using it. But the big bet personally that I'm taking is on owning your own data and having control over your data in the future. Because right now, OpenClaw is like this hot thing, right? It's this hot thing. But at some point in the future, there's probably going to be something that is more powerful. So imagine if you can have all this data here and then just plug it into the future AI agentic system or whatever the heck is going to be out there in the future with like AGI or whatever. This thing already has a bunch of memory. It's like giving it a whole entire brain of all your experiences, your context, your history, your daily logs, everything that you've processed with of previous versions of AI, and it just instantly can be up to date with everything. Whereas the only disadvantage when you're working with Claude is that you are becoming very reliant and embedded on them in the future. And then it becomes very difficult to move off of them because they have this sort of vendor lock and ecosystem, because you can't really see anything that's on the inside. Like, sure, maybe you can see kind of in a partial or like a fragmented way of what kind of workflows you have, what's being done, what kind of systems you got there. But like really, when you look at under the hood and try to study everything and you like to know all the details and stuff like that, you don't really have access to all the information, which kind of is a big con for me. But nonetheless, I use both tools every single day. They're very powerful. And if you're looking for something that makes the most sense for you long term, then choose a system. And I'm not saying to go out there to choose just OpenClaw here or even Claude. I'm just saying choose what makes the most sense. If you value and like to own your own data and know exactly what is happening under the hood, choose something that's open source like OpenClaw, where you can build up this data, amass all this data, and in the future feed it to other sorts of very powerful AIs. Because all this data, you can do a lot with it. Or say if you're looking to experiment with AI, experiment what it's like working with these AI systems, what it's like to actually get work done autonomously. Maybe say you're on the go and you want to connect your dispatch with the Claude desktop app to actually produce work while you're gone, then that also works. And the thing that I love about Anthropic is that they're always up to date on everything. They're shipping things like crazy. New things are coming out every single week. They have a super powerful AI model coming out soon called like Mythos or something like that, which is probably by far one of the most powerful models. So they're always coming out with something on top of the edge of AI, which is why I like using them every single day. And with OpenClaw, the biggest thing I value from them is having ownership over my data, being able to build it and have ownership over it so I can see into the hood of like how everything works, so I can understand it, how it actually works and looks like, building with various different sub-agents and AIs for my personal life, for my business, just see how like everything kind of looks like and feels. This gives me more hands-on experience to actually work with agentic AI and creating the systems needed to create very custom solutions for my personal needs, clients, or anyone I work with. Long term, this just makes the most sense for me. And the only thing I fear with working with any specific AI provider is a vendor lock-in, which is not something what I want. So there's always ways and bridges you have to kind of connect with between both two worlds, where say, let's say I have a custom setup in my IDE where I code. What I can do is I can just literally copy and replicate my workspace that lives in the cloud for my OpenClaw, paste it into my computer, and then from there, I can just use my Claude desktop on my computer to just work with the directory from there, which is pretty much like nothing happened. You know what I mean? I'm just plugging in my Claude subscription into my workspace that OpenClaw created, and I'm just using a powerful model or wrapper on top of it to run the whole agent. There are some disadvantages like not having all the features and suites of like what OpenClaw does, but there are all these other different advanced creative ways how you can work with like both systems at the same time. But that I don't even want to go into that because it just kind of overcomplicates things. But there are many ways how you can kind of bridge the two and create your own unique workflows. I'm just ranting at this point. But nonetheless, use both. Get a feel for both. If you're simply just starting out, if you just want to get a feel for what agentic AI can do, how powerful these AIs can transform your business, or even just start creating some basic workflows, start with Claude. They're on it every single week. They're always shipping new things, so you can feel very confident and safe working with them. They're one of the best AI companies right now. Long term though, do take into consideration how do you want to own your data, what do you do with your data, what's actually being stored and tracked within your data, because whenever you're going into any future agentic system or working with another AI framework that's open source or not, the question you have to ask yourself is, what kind of information can I plug and play into this AI so everything's up to date? Like, you don't want to repeat yourself, your whole entire life story, your business, all the logs, all the events that happened in a previous year to a new agentic system. To me, that's just a total drain and a waste of time. So for me, it's very powerful and important for me to have some sort of control over my data, so then when I'm working with any future powerful agentic system, that I have all my structure and my systems there, so then the new AI can just easily plug everything and we can just go and proceed with like nothing ever really happened. That's gonna be the video. I hope you found a bunch of value in it. Both options are very powerful options. I hope this helps you choose the right one for you in your current situation. Thanks for watching the video. See you in the next one.